The encounter. Deandra opened her eyes and was immediately hit with a piercing orange light. She closed them again and dared not move. Where was she? Was she in Atlantis or was she in Arnhem? She sat very still, feeling the subtle energy around her as she had been trained to do, searching for clues. Suddenly the tone of a gong shattered the silence with a prolonged fullness of deep resonance. She waited until the hypnotic sound had almost totally faded from her memory. Then, opening those large, clear eyes of hers, she stood up and walked forward. She could see nothing but the brightest of orange lights, and yet our brave Diana walked forward using her finely developed vibrational senses. "Welcome, my queen," proclaimed a deep voice from the stillness. Diandra stepped through the intense orange light into the circular room bathed in the vibrant green of vitality and growth. There was the sound of running water, possibly a fountain somewhere, and there he was, Altazar, standing in front of her, smiling warmly. He was even stronger, more handsome, more alive than she had ever imagined. Tall, with dark hair, tinged with grey, Altazar had a full beard, which made his dark brown eyes stand out dramatically. They flashed with strength, love, and humor. Altazar was clad, or partially clad, in a brown cloth wrapped around his waist, which fell below his knees. This shimmered when he moved, changing colors ever so slightly as a pattern of delicate tropical flowers emerged. His chest was bare and covered with hair, something that she had rarely observed in Atlantis. A golden dagger hung from a sash around his waist, and a rough-cut diamond set in gold encircled his neck. Althazar's head was wrapped in a white turban-like covering from which protruded iridescent peacock feathers. Deandra had simply never encountered a being like the one standing in front of her now. His eyes fixed her with his stare and brought her back from her observations. She delightedly saw Altazar, yes, her beloved, looking at her from those solemn eyes with the slightest of friendly crinkles in the corners. She slowly smiled in full recognition and bowed with her head. A warm smile broke through the pall of his countenance, and he too bowed at her. Then Altazar stepped forward and outstretched his hands, palms downward, in the ancient Atlantean way of transmission of energies among initiates. She offered her hands to him, palms up, not touching his, and felt the glow of the sun entering her hands, traveling up her arms and throughout her body. She felt the toughness of the warrior that he was, felt his loneliness and his yearning, felt his appraisal and acceptance of her. Then the sound warmed through her again. Next he moved his hands below hers, palms up, and waited. Deandra realized the full implications of what he was offering. He was acknowledging her as his equal. As she moved her hands to the palms down position above his, this time it was Altazar who experienced her. He saw his strangeness to her and her fascination with it. He knew that she was fully aware of his need for her on all levels, that she brought into his life and the feminine balance he had long sought. Seeing Deandra in the austere life of the Atlantean temples, he knew her devotion, how she had taken her lessons and tasks seriously. He saw her work with the lesser initiates and how they held her in so much love and respect. Altazar also felt her loneliness, the deep yearning inside the heart of a highly evolved woman who has not yet found her mate, and who cannot settle for anyone less than her equal, him. Taking her hands in his, he stared deeply into her eyes. Finally, he let go her hands and said, "Come." Thus did the meeting take place between Altazar and Deandra. Thus did they know of each other for the first time, and thus did their love burst into flower. You may want to ask how I know these things. Through the power of the crystals, I was there and saw everything. Oh, maybe that's my story. Our story. The union. The sea breeze brought a fresh coolness, a welcome relief from the days of near tropical heat. It was summer in Moragong, Altazar's capital city. Yes, it was the month of festivals, and the nights were filled with the numerous gossamer sounds of music and singing mingled with the constant vibrations of bells and gongs. The air was fragrant with the myriad scents of exotic flowers and the fullness of blossoming. The many celebrations lasted throughout the long nights, and it seemed as if the people rarely slept. Yet the populace didn't appear tired. They glided with a sure grace up and down the terraced hillside, tending the gardens and fields by day, always with a song and a smile. The festivals were held in honor of the abundance of the harvests, the plentiful supply of fish, the well-regulated weather. They offered the people an opportunity to show their respect to the nature spirits and to their enlightened ruler Altazar and moon and stars. During the celebrations, everyone participated, man, woman, and child. Each one shared of himself in song and dance, and each one contributed offerings which, regardless of how humble, were presented with utmost sincerity. Altazar and Deandra were kept constantly occupied during this period, for their presences were required at each and every festival. It was considered a blessing for all, since the High King and Queen represented a direct link to the gods and the higher energy source. Altazar and Deandra traveled throughout this month, visiting many of the more remote villages on the large island of Arnhem. They too slept little, entering into that light-headed, floating, peaceful state of being that everyone was experiencing. This was the month of connection. Altazar and Deandra now worked as one. Even when their duties caused them to be apart, the link, their unity of purpose, was alive, and they experienced no separation. They were in constant telepathic contact. It was as if part of Altazar resided within Deandra and part of her was within him. They had achieved a unity of souls, rarely experienced before or since that distant golden age. Altazar felt a completeness, a wholeness of manifestation that he had not known before. It was as if he and Deandra had each individually held parts of the same puzzle. They both brought to their union different strengths and weaknesses and areas of knowledge. Together they were in the process of putting together the entire picture. Indeed, He loved her tenderly and was deeply grateful that this particular woman had been assigned to be his partner. I guess that the great source knows perfectly well what it's doing when it creates our lives' unique patterns and destinies, he thought. I have been truly blessed by this woman. She is a strong confirmation for me of who I am. One afternoon they were lounging comfortably in one of the palace's many gardens. Lounging comfortably. This one contained several bubbling fountains. The water tumbled over the red and black volcanic rocks with which the island abounded, sending soft sprays of fine mists over the plant life, refreshing everything. The large trees had cascading branches bent low with the weight of delicate fruits. A peacock lazily strutted back and forth, opening his magnificent tail feathers for the benefit of several pigeons. Diantra's favorite parrot perched nearby, lending its occasional comments to the scene. Slowly stretching, Diandra removed herself from Altazar's encircling arms, then languidly walked to a nearby tree, where she plucked a cluster of pink fruit, dipped it into the fountain, and returned to Altazar. Then as she fed him some of the fruit, she marveled at the fullness she felt. She had changed much since arriving here years ago. A new softness and gentleness had emerged. She felt a delicate glow surround her, in and outside. This was caused by Altazar's presence in her life, that she well knew. His strong masculine protection had enabled her to open up many parts of her being that she had only faintly touched upon back in her former life in Atlantis. In her inner life there were new developments as well. She was opening up to new energies, communicating with ever more distant universes. This also was the legacy of her union with this extraordinary man. Without his balance and grounding of her energies, she would not venture into some of the realms which she now regularly frequented. She settled closer into his embrace, breathed deeply of his divine essence, and smiled contentedly. Altazar had been lost in thought for some time. Suddenly he broke their silence. I am called upon to make a journey, but for some reason which I know not, it does not sit well in my heart. The Council of China wants me to go settle some dissident energies. Me to go to the distant outpost island of Rapa Nui to settle some dissident energies. I have undertaken similar commissions many times before quite willingly, but something does not feel right to me about going this time, he explained. She understood and put herself into her higher awareness. When do they want you to go? She inquired. Soon, within a few days, as soon as the festival cycle is complete, he answered. What would happen if you declined to go? Diandra asked. That I know not. I have always heeded their summons in the hierarchical chain. I have no right to refuse. Yet something troubles me about it. Tienda looked into the matter. She took herself to the faraway island of Rapa Nui. She saw the corruption that had been subtly insinuating itself into the life there. She saw as well that there would be no difficulty for Altazar to clear it up, so she turned her focus to Arnhem. Suddenly her sight froze, and a beam of deep purple light entered her consciousness. This was symbolic of the highest authority. The voice of the elder of the Brotherhood of the Seven came to her. Stop! You must not interfere with this. You are not allowed to use your gift of sight upon this matter. You are hereby commanded not to influence this process. Speak of it no further, the voice intoned. Giandra stiffened. Something of utmost importance was about to happen, and she was not allowed to look at it, much less use any of her powers to prevent it, if need be. But she was wise enough to respect the authority of the Seven. Altazar looked at the stricken appearance of his beloved's face, and mistook it as her feeling of sadness at his impending departure. Taking her hand, he said, "Well, Giandra, I know that I must go on this journey, but please do not worry. I have done this work many times before, and it will not be long before I return to you." Tears ran down Leandra's grieving face. Pulling him closely to her, she murmured, "Oh, my noble Altazar, know that I will always love you, I will always remember you, I will always be with you in some form or another. Please do not forget me. More importantly, Altazar, please don't ever forget who you are." "How could I ever forget you, my beautiful Atlantean woman? You have created the fullness in my heart," replied he while thinking, "what does she mean by saying don't ever forget who I am? Besides, I shall not be gone for long." Then extending his arm to her, he said, "Come, let us prepare ourselves for tonight's festival." Thus it came to be that Altazar and Diandra were to be parted for many an age. Oh, Altazar, if you could have but heeded Diandra's admonition to you, then perhaps your destiny would have been kinder. But thus it was as I heard it with my very own ears in that lovely garden on that distant day.